Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of CVTV podcast, your source for reading heavy information. My name is Carlos, and my co-host David D'Aquin, owner of CoralVue, and together we have about 40 to 50 years of experience. How you doing, Dave?
Doing well today. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's exciting. This podcast today. We're talking about a brand new release product. We just keep releasing products here at CoralVue just to keep people on their toes.
Right. Yep. That's how we do it.
So on this podcast, we're just going over a few things. The podcast, we usually talk about industry news. We also talk about new products and product reviews. So whether you're a seasoned hobbyist or you are just starting up, this podcast offers some great insights from us and from guests that we have that come and visit us.
Yep.
So we also talk about chemistry. We also talk about understanding the science behind keeping a tank. And we share tips and tricks that will make it easier for you to have a stunning and successful ecosystem. So whether you want that knowledge or you want to just stay up to date, just subscribe to our podcast, and you'll be notified when we release a brand new podcast episode. So Dave, let's talk about the new product today. We're talking about the Minnow.
HYDROS Minnow.
HYDROS Minnow.
We're talking dosing pumps.
Dosing pumps. But before we get to the dosing pumps, let's talk about why. Why do we need dosing? I mean, remember this podcast is for beginners and for advanced people. And advanced, they know what dosing is, but beginners, I mean, trust me, when you and I started, dosing was not even in our radar. So why do we need dosing? Why do we need it?
I guess the first thing is, what is a dosing pump, Carlos? It's basically a dosing pump is a machine that enables us to disperse fluids into our aquariums in our application. So that's basically what a dosing pump is. A means to have a machine disperse the calcium, magnesium, alkalinity, trace elements. I use it for phytoplankton, dosing that. Lanthanum is another good one. I know you use that. So these are, this is a machine that enables us to do that, and without us being there. And it's something that can be set. It's very accurate, which is important, is to get the precise amount dose to the aquarium.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, and is that it allows us to automate things without us being there. We busy lives, we have to go to work, and not everybody's lucky enough to work from home. So when you go to the office, you still have to ensure that your aquarium is being dosed, the trace elements, the chemistry, the chemicals that the plants, the corals are intaking, that they have this in there. You go on vacation and you have somebody that doesn't know about aquariums and they're just feeding your tank. They're not going to know exactly how much to dose. So having this automation makes it a lot easier and peace of mind, I think.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about current dosing options, because we have CoralVue here. We do the HYDROS controller, and we currently have several dosing options. The first dosing option that comes to mind is the 40 milliliter per minute driver dosers. Tiny little doser. It runs on a drive board. It has its benefits. It's incredibly inexpensive. It's super easy to set up. It's very reliable, because literally you're turning it on and turning it off. There's no brain to it. The brain is the HYDROS controller. But it also has its drawbacks. The drawbacks, the one that I can think of, is that if you need something to dose around 40 milliliters per minute, this is perfect. But once you start veering outside of that range, the further you get from the 40 milliliters per minute, then the accuracy starts to go down, especially when you get to the low end of the range. Because, let's say you want to dose, 0.5 milliliters. with that, you wouldn't be able to, the hydros would have to
Correct.
turn on the drive port for almost second or two and then shut it off. You can't expect a motor that runs at 40 milliliters per minute to turn on and turn off in 2 seconds and give you accurate volume. It's not going to happen.
I think what you're referring to, Carlos, is the different type of motors that we use with dosing. And in this application that you're describing, this is a brushed or a coiled motor. It's an air cooled motor. They're fairly accurate and specific in what they do. They can be a little noisier, but they're not capable of being run continuously or for long length of time. If you want to do water changes or things like that, that's not recommended for this type of motor. The next type of motor we would talk about would then be a step motor or stepper motor. This is a specific type of an electrical motor that requires a driver. It is incredibly precise. It can be used in a continuous dosing application. Maybe you want to set something up for auto water changer. This is the type of pump or motor that you want for that application. But those are the two primary motors that you'll see in dosing pumps in our hobby or industry.
Right. Also, what we want to remember is that you have to use the correct motor and dosing speed for the correct application. So if a motor runs if a motor just only runs at one speed, you can't change it, and the speed is 40 milliliters per minute. It's going to give you very accurate 40 milliliters per minute. But if you want that motor to give you 2 milliliters per minute, it's probably not going to do it well. It will do it, but it's not going to be at the accurate level. So,
and that's when you want that stepper motor to come in play.
Exactly. So that stepper motor, you can actually change the speed and make it so that the speed matches closely to what you're trying to dose. We also have the 2 milliliter per minute pump also, which is connected to an AC power strip, and it's got one speed. It's got one speed. That's it. Fairly inexpensive, but it allows you to dose very small amounts very accurately. So you can have you can have a motor that runs at 40 milliliters per minute, and now you have one that runs at 2 milliliters per minute. And there are other standard motors or pumps that will, whether they're not HYDROS or they are HYDROS, whatever brand they are, they can run on the HYDROS as well. The only catch is that they need to be run in one constant speed when you power them. So if I plug them to the wall, it starts running. As soon as I unplug it, it stops, because the way the HYDROS is going to control it is by turning the outlet on and off. And then the HYDROS knows how fast this pump runs. So if the pump runs at 50 milliliters per minute and you want to add 100 milliliters, then the HYDROS will turn the AC outlet for 2 minutes. So, but it must run constantly all the time.
Yeah, these are, you can refer to them as dumb motors, really. They're just on off, and HYDROS doing the thinking for it to do that.
Yeah, and I think there's some smart motors that you can turn them into dumb motors. I know there's several dosing pumps out there that can have the brain to do scheduling, but they also have a particular setting where you can. It's called manual setting or always run, or 24/7 setting, and all you do is when you put them on that, it'll just run all the time. If it's powered, it'll run. The other pump, the other dosing pump is the extend pumps. And absolutely, those extend pumps run on they're stepper motors, right?
Yeah, those are micro stepper motors that are in there. Very reliable, very precise, very quiet, with a stepper motor. Really, the only thing you're hearing is the tubing that's going through the rollers.
Yes.
So that's something too to keep in mind, is the noise factor with some of these different motors.
Absolutely. And also something else that the X10, one of the great features of the X10 is that it uses these specially made driver chips inside that are developed and manufactured by a company in Europe. And this company, their job, the only product they sell are these driver chips. That's it. This is what they do.
That's all they do.
That's all they do.
So just a German manufacturer that we source these from, and that's their specialty.
That's their specialty. You know, it's amazing what, you know, when you have high quality motors, you have to drive them. You have to make them run in a particular way to get the optimal. It's kind of like a car. You can't just press the pedal and every motor will run the same way. Depending on you tune it, you tweak it depending on what you're doing. So this company has created that motor that tunes and tweaks those pumps, drives them that way. And instead of us having to develop that software, we're like, no, we don't have the engineering. We don't want to get into that. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's just get those chips from this company. This is what they do, and use it on the X10. So that's another layer of reliability.
So that kind of brings us into our new product here, right?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that Minnow. I mean,
Minnow.
This is the new option. The new option for the Hydros world. It's the Minnow, the latest member of the Hydros family.
Absolutely. And the thing is we want to have different options. You know, when we're telling you about these different type of dosing pumps, and we want to have options, you know, for our customers, and this is just another option. And what's unique about it is it's its own controller as well, Carlos. So I mean, you don't need any other hardware if you wanted just a dosing pump, you can buy this.
Exactly.
But you're ready to go.
But it also comes with some sense ports as well, so that you can use
4
it.
sense ports.
You can use it. So anytime, you know, most of the time when you're purchasing a new Hydros device, it's going to include some type of sense port in there to have you, because you can never have too many sense ports.
Right.
Also, it's part of the brain. It's got a brain of its own, which means that it can run Wi-Fi strips, but it also can be part of a collective. You know, and then let's talk about the speed on those dosing pumps, because I really like to cover that. You know, the dosing pumps run at 25, 35, 45, and 55 milliliters per minute. So they're set speeds. It's not going to replace your X10 that can run as low as 0.1 milliliter per minute, but this one allows a little bit more versatility. With versatility does come with a little bit of trade-off. This is a little more expensive. It's you know, it ranges at $249.99. But I wanted to emphasize that this is not a replacement for the X10, and it's definitely not a replacement for the 2 milliliter per minute pump. It just fits right in there. So that like you said, Dave, there's options. So I have an option for very, very low speed and an option for higher speed.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about what else it includes. So you have those 2 pumps. It includes the also 4 universal sense ports.
Yep. And what we could do with those sense ports? Like if somebody's just buying this as a standalone dosing pump, they don't have anything else Hydros. What can they do with those sense ports? Immediately comes to my mind is level sensors. You know, if you got a dosing solution and you want to get a notification when you're almost empty, boom, there it is. That's how it works.
Another thing that comes to mind for me is a leak detector. You know, we know sometimes those lines, after running them for so long, and let's be honest, we're not known for being the most schedule oriented people. I sometimes I don't clean or change the lines as I should, and when they crack, I like to know that, you know, they cracked and there's a leak, so that, you know, I don't want to damage my floors.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep. So what about the programming, Dave? Is this thing easy to program?
Absolutely. It's the same Hydro software that's on all our devices now. No need to code or anything like that to set it up. It's very intuitive.
Can I create multiple schedules on it?
Absolutely. Multiple schedules. Whenever, basically how you want to set up your dosing schedule.
Yeah,
This
you can.
this will allow you to do that through the app.
That's one thing I love about this. It's on the Hydros app, I can schedule things like every other day. All right.
Right?
I can schedule Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, because the Hydros allows me to select the individual days, but also the Hydros has this little feature called the nth day. Kind of like, if you're a math guy, you'll know what the nth power is. So all you're doing is
Yep.
you schedule it every other day. So we start with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. But then most other controllers, not all other controllers, then it starts back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. But that means that
Right.
Sunday and Monday, they're next to each other. With the Hydros, you can do nth, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday. So it just keeps going through it, because it doesn't
Yep.
rely on the day of the week. It just goes by every 24 hours. You can do it every week. You can do it every 3 days. Heck, you can do it once a month if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great features about the Hydros programming, that it just allows you to do that very, very easily. The great thing about the Minnow also is that it's super tiny.
Yeah.
Super tiny.
Super tiny.
I mean, it's 6 inches tall by 6.25 wide. And that's because of the power heads. That includes the heads. And it's only 2.5 inches deep back to front. It is super, super tiny. You can put it anywhere.
You know what I like about it, Carlos, is that, we've been dealing with dosing pumps a long time and distributed other lines, and all of them seem to be where you just set them down on a shelf. There was not really and then you got to deal with the lines. So you got to position a thing further out on a shelf so the lines don't get kinked. But with the Minnow, it's mountable to the wall, to a cabinet board or controller board, or to your cabinet wall. So it's simple, but I think that's one thing that we thought about. We would like to see
and that's a great point, Dave.
Pump.
That's a great point, Dave, because the Minnow comes in the same rugged industrial look from what you've come to expect from the Hydros.
Yep.
Obviously, it's made for the environment. You can mount. It's got a bracket with 4 screws, and it's sealed inside, so the components are pretty easy to exchange. So that's what I love about it. It's made for the environment, and best of all, which is what we've done in the design, is that if Murphy's Law, if the motor breaks down, not the head, but the actual motor, which doesn't happen that often, but if it does, it's super simple to remove. And even the motor cables are not soldered to the PCB board. You can easily just pop them out. We'll mail you a new motor. You can screw it back in. Probably takes you like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes if somebody distracts you. Or,
easy.
Yeah, it's super easy to do, which I love it. I love that. Now, speaking of, when things go bad and when things don't work out correctly, the programming, you can back it up to the cloud. So if something were to happen with the Minnow, you can always, every time you make a change on that app, it'll back up to the cloud, so you can go and revert back to last week's or something. It makes it so much easier to use.
One nice feature I would like to mention is that, somebody's looking at it and say, well, it's only got 2 heads. No problem. You can buy another one. This thing's $249.99. Look at the market and see what a 4-head doser is going for, and weigh your options, what you get. So now you take another Minnow, you add a command bus cable. Now you have a 4-head doser. You've got 2 brains for redundancy in this system. It's pretty robust. 8-cent ports at that point. I mean, there's a lot going on there for your value, I believe.
Absolutely. And, going back to every pump is different. You have the extend pumps, which run at very low speeds. I'm not going to waste an extend pump running at 50 milliliters per
Right.
minute. At that point, you know what? I'll use the minnow because I need that extend to dose lanthanum. Or you know what? I'd rather let the extend dose, test my alkalinity. So it's adding that option. So it's not anymore just the extend or the 40 milliliter per minute. You have redundancy. You have a device that has its own brain. If something were to fail, then it'll continue to work. It'll get redundancy. And when you have that second minnow, now you're not relying on one brain for all your dosing pumps. Your multiple brains, multiple redundancy. It's just over the years, you and I have learned that you don't put your eggs into one single basket. You have to have redundancy. Because those little guys, I mean, most people would look at them and they say, "Oh, they're just fish," but they're not just fish to me. They're little pets. They're great pets because I don't have to walk them. They don't scratch me.
Exactly.
And they definitely don't. And they definitely don't talk back.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
but we do put a considerable amount of time and effort into these aquariums, and it's our love of it. We want to protect it and do what we can to make this as easy as we can for us.
Absolutely. Now let's go to the question that everybody's asking. The whole show, we have it, and everybody's asking is, we know the price is $249.99, but when will it be available?
So we're going to have it to show at Reefapalooza Orlando. That's coming up in April, and we're looking for a release shortly thereafter.
So it's not going to be like months, right? We're talking about weeks.
No,
correct?
It won't be months. Here it is. Yeah, a few weeks. Here's the boxes for them, and if anybody's watching us, you can see that here. So yeah, It's the real deal.
I love that. Dave is like, no, hey, we have the box right here because we both have been using the minnow for many months. But once you have that box, if any manufacturer is watching us, they know once you have a box, you're pretty damn close.
You're married to that baby.
You're married to that baby. Yes, exactly. So Dave, if anybody has any questions about it, if anybody wants to reach out, where should they go to and post those questions?
Yeah, reach out to us at support@coralvue.com. We've got a full team of support reps. If you're a store, reach out to your salesperson. Let them know you're interested and want more information.
Yeah, if you're looking for pre-sales, if you're a retailer and you're looking to find out, hey, I want to get this minnow, so when it's released, I have it ready for my customers. Reach out to your sales rep. If you are just an end user, you know what? Reach out to us at support.coralvue.com, or you can go to Facebook. We have a Facebook group, and then we'll let you know when it will be, the actual date when it will be available.
Or better yet, reach out to your local store and ask them.
Yes.
We're trying to support stores.
That is true. That's absolutely true.
Support the stores are the lifeblood of our hobby and industry. So yeah, if you got a store you like to frequent, ask them to carry HYDROS that you'd like to buy it from them.
Absolutely. And this is a shout out, we're a podcast. I want to do a shout out to the local stores because they don't get the love. They don't get the love. Let's be honest. Everybody says, oh yeah, I'll just go online and buy it cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But the day you run out of frozen food, the day you have to do that, or the day something happens and you can't wait for 3 days to get that product, to get that shipment, where do you go?
You run into that store.
You run into that store. So they are there as your backup, but let's not treat them just like a backup. Treat them like a primary. You go to fish, you go and look at there. Yes, I purchase corals online, but I also get a lot of corals from my local store when I'm just browsing around and I see something cool. I'm like, oh, you know what? I want that. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
So let's try to
Yeah.
keep those stores around. They're our friends.
It really is important. It really is important, Carlos, and where we all start in this is we go look at the local stores to get an idea. This is something we want to get into. And they provide a lot of knowledge to us all. So yeah, try and help them out, give them some sales, not just on the livestock, but dry goods as well, because that stuff doesn't die on them.
No. Well, that's well, kind of with that, we're going to call this a wrap. Thank you again for listening to CoralVue Aquarium Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.